All right, guys. So let me kind of run it down. I had to write stuff down because I couldn't remember and I was going to memorize it, but this all kind of worked out. I just happened to talk to Warren Johnson today. Him and I were talking because we're going to do that live chat on Saturday. And I saw that book sitting there, that Geoff's Motown Missile book, and I was thinking about doing that video that I'm doing now for Bob Glidden. I said, you know what? I wonder if Dave Koffel's down there. I thought he lived in Florida at one time. So I said, you know what? I'm calling down there. And I just happened to call, and your mom, Suzy, answered the phone, and then this is how it worked out. It's funny how everything kind of falls into place.
Oh, yeah.
So Scott told me he watches my channel, which made me smile. Thank you so much for being there. And my girls, he enjoys that.
Yeah.
So, Dave, here's what we're going to do. We'll kind of give you a rundown, guys, on who Dave Koffel is. Because some of you guys, if you're Mopar guys, you already know this. But I'm a Ford guy, but I like everything. I don't care what it is. If it's got an engine and wheels, I like it. So, from my memory, back in the day, Dave Koffel ran a car called the Flintstone Flyer. Now, it was a 59 Packard initially.
49.
49, yes, sorry, 49. And that thing, I remember, was powered by a Corvette engine. I think it had three deuces on it at one time.
No.
Yeah, it did.
No, it did. Yeah, okay.
And that was back in the days when the only thing that you could get was a Edelbrock for 3.2 barrels.
Okay. And then your wife told me that you actually sold that and bought a Hillborn fuel injection, got a loan for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's correct.
So he had the Flintstone Flyer. Then he had a Studebaker Lark, which was the Flintstone
Flyer 2.
Flyer 2, TOO, also.
Yeah.
And that car, and he's got a huge history. I took some pictures. Your mom kind of went through the Wall of Fame there, so we kind of have that going on. Now, somewhere around 1968, Chrysler came to Dave and said, "Hey, Dave, why don't you come work for us?" We haven't even talked about this, but this is from my own history. So the rest is history. Dave took him up on that offer, and with Tom Hoover being the father of the Hemi, and the Motown and Motown Missile started, the Chrysler race program, and Dave headed up. What was your actual title, Dave?
At Chrysler or previous?
Chrysler.
Okay. I was what they called a staff engineer.
Staff engineer. I think Ted Spehar was also a staff engineer, wasn't he?
No, Ted actually was a gas station owner.
Right.
Who moonlighted.
Yeah.
He was on Woodward, I think, didn't he?
Well, that was Jimmy Addison.
Oh, yeah.
With the
Yes.
silver bullet.
Yes, 67.
What was at the Sunoco gas station on
Okay.
Woodward Avenue.
14 Mile in Woodward.
Yeah.
How fast did that car go, the Silver Bullet? Was that thing in the 10s?
That was in the 9s.
Was it really?
Yeah, high nines.
Yeah.
Back then?
Yeah.
Dang it, man. I saw some pictures of it. You know, it's been restored or whatever. It had 4 mufflers on it. I mean, it was a pretty nasty machine.
My favorite story with that is that Mom and Dad would take my brother Rich and myself and park us at the gas station with some of the other kids and got one person and a bunch of pizzas to babysit us while they went off and did the street racing on
Did they really?
Woodward Avenue. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Actually, where we ended up racing was 696 Interstate. 696
696 Interstate.
Interstate, yeah.
Was that road finished?
At
was
that
fresh.
time, it was good enough that you could make a pass one way, get off at 14 mile or
12 mile.
12 mile, and make a U-turn and come back down to 10 mile on Howard Johnson's. That was the turnaround going the other direction.
Wow.
And there were finish line judges.
Give me a year. What are we talking? 69?
69.
Okay. It's my favorite year, by the way.
Yeah,
That'd be pretty close.
Yeah, you had, it was almost like this is where you did your corporate testing, of components. What was it, Jim Wanger's at Pontiac, had stuff out there.
He was our rival.
Yeah, Wanger's Pontiac, Jim
Yeah,
Wanger's.
and Fonz was out there with his Corvette. And,
Yep, he told me about
you
that.
know, then the Silver Bullet, and what was it? There was a guy from over in Windsor, I think, that had a camera in a altered or something like
Street
a T-bucket.
ride.
Yeah,
Jeez, that'd be scary.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Be like, hang the hell on.
It was, and I can tell you that we raced that guy between 12 mile and 15 mile. Why they had open, I have no idea, because there were no clock. But I'd say realistically, 140 maybe.
Wow. So, I mean, that's in the nines right there, 140, you know?
I think this would have been
950.
a little better than high H.
Wow.
Yeah, there was that's back when stuff was neat, you know.
It's amazing. It's like I live in 1975. That was like,
Right.
I was 10. That's when I first got into racing and heard about Glidden and the Pro Stocks on TV, Wide World of Sports, and saw this stuff. It was a whole new world for me,
Right.
you know? So that's his history. Let me just see if I can adjust this a little bit more. So that's Dave's history. There's a lot more, and we may get into that a little bit. We're just going to do a quick interview, and next time we talk, if we get time to do it again, I'm going to get a microphone so we don't have to go through this. But and the story is, I'm making this video, and this is going to be the preempting part of the video, because everybody wonders, why did Bob Glidden leave Ford with his success that he had? And the bottom line is, here's how the story goes, and Dave's going to fill in the blanks. At the Northern Nationals in Milan Dragway in Michigan, Dave Koffel went up and said something to Bob Glidden. They were sitting on a tailgate, and he said, and I read this from Geoff Stunkard's book. Dave says to him, he says, "How'd you like to race a Chrysler?" And Bob looked at him like, "What?" Like a deer in the headlights is what it said as a quote. And basically what you said, from what I read, was, "What has Ford ever done for you?" And Bob said, "They never even gave me a gasket." Then he said, "We'll give you money to race. We'll get you a chaparral trailer rig, engines." What can you expound on that? Does that sound about right?
Everything would be right except the engines. Bob did his own engines, period.
Supplied the parts, you know.
Yeah,
Now, what I read in that book, and tell me if I'm right, is that Ted Spehar built the first engine, and Chrysler gave him enough for 2 other engines to build, and Bob did it. Is that true?
that's partially true.
Okay.
Also, the Spehar built the first engine to go in the Arrow, and we did that. We sort of piggybacked on it because Goodyear was having a tire test,
Okay.
and we piggybacked doing that, saved money naturally, but I gotta think on that one.
Well, Bob,
Yeah,
Bob had to think about it. He said, "Well, let me think about it, and I'll get back to you." This is kind of what I got out of it when I read that book.
Well, the big thing, he came into my house and had like a little makeshift engine
It's
shop.
it's a 2.5 car garage, you know, turned into engine, you know, we build engines
Yeah.
out of the garage while he was working, you know,
Okay.
you know, at Chrysler.
Okay.
And yeah, that night that Bob, you know, showed up, I was sworn to secrecy, pain, you know, it threatened with death if I opened my
Really?
mouth to anybody,
Oh, yeah,
you know, that Bob was there, and we basically laid out all of the current, you know, technology parts,
Yep.
you know, on the W2 stuff,
Yep.
you know, out there, and you know, Bob basically, you know, fondled everything, and you know,
Wow.
And he didn't laugh us out of the garage.
yeah,
He actually, when he saw the parts, he thought that,
yeah, could do something with it.
yeah, I can make it better. I think that would,
Wow.
but the true part of that is the bit about sitting on the tailgate of his truck, and we talked a little bit, just like you'd have a casual conversation. Walked away and didn't come back right then, but he didn't say no. He just said, "I gotta think about it a little."
Yeah.
No sponsorship from Ford. And Chrysler Corporation came to us, and we decided to race a Plymouth Arrow the following year.
And he did. And then I'm trying to think chronologically because they just had the meet. That would be. You gotta excuse me. I don't.
That's okay.
Have a lot of voice, but Pacific Raceways in
Seattle.
Seattle.
It was a Monday.
We were there, and Bob was there entered. I was there spectating.
Yep.
And we fixed it up so that we had adjoining rooms. So we hammered out the contract on
On the hotel bed and stuff.
Yeah, motel bed, but it wasn't a bed. It was
The table.
Yeah, table. Because we were still sworn to
Okay.
secrecy.
Yeah.
I mean, we knew at that point, we had talked about it long enough that both the parties were in agreement. We just didn't have it in writing.
Okay.
Yeah, and then once it was in writing, typical Glidden fashion, things accelerated at a extreme pace. You know, the car being built at Don Hardy's, the chaparral, being done, the transporter truck, getting Bob, the parts, that he needed to get moved off on, the engine program. I want to say all that took 3 months, if that.
Wasn't that much.
Yeah, maybe 2 months to
I was
do it
thinking
all.
more about 4 or 5 weeks. It was intense. And we filled a Sprague in the Lenco, and I remember, what are we going to do? Glidden says, "I'll tell you what you're going to do, get in the truck and go to San Diego and get me some pieces so we can fix this thing."
Is that what he said?
And we did. The next thing you know, I'm going down whatever interstate that is, going to
Lenco.
Lenco.
Right to the
Right to
shop.
the place, yeah. Got the pieces we needed. Came back and Bob put the thing back together and it performed flawlessly.
The other thing that was kind of funny is that when Bob took delivery of the car, typically, nice tight fit on everything, and Bob's like, "This won't work," and immediately took a hand drill and oversized every hole in the car so the stuff would just fall in bolt wise.
As far as like the motor mounts.
Motor mounts and
everything.
stuff. If it took a 3/8 hole, it had a 3/8
Really?
hole. It took a 7/16 hole.
Just to get things to move and take them out. Wow.
Which that was part of his, I guess you could say, flat rate.
Sure. When he was a wrench.
Background when it was a wrench. The dealership.
Ford.
Yeah.
How did you guys like Chrysler being? How did the ties? How do they think about that? Do they even know or do they even care?
This is who now?
Oh, the
The suits.
higher ups
Yeah,
at
the suits and
Chrysler.
yeah.
Oh, my boss, doing what I was doing, he thought it was great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who was your boss?
Dick Maxwell.
Dick Maxwell.
Dick
Okay.
Maxwell.
Yep.
And Bob Cahill. And I would say there was no resistance within Chrysler. I think the biggest thing is nobody was sure that he would sign up with us.
Do it.
Okay.
And do it. And later on, when you look back, it's like, man, he did do it.
Yeah.
And the comment about Ford never having given him a gasket
Yeah.
is true.
Yes, he said that before. Yeah.
Well, it was funny because I think, what was it, the week after he signed the contract was when you picked him up to take him out to the test session at Milan with Spihar and those guys, and they went and picked up Paul Gentilozzi along the way,
Yep.
and Bob was in the back seat, you know, the car, and Dad starts to
Gentilozzi
take.
didn't realize who was in the back seat
yeah.
for several miles.
Yeah.
And it's funny because we were all just about breaking at the seams. Because when he finally came to the conclusion that Glidden
There's
was
somebody
in
in the back seat. Yeah.
And he actually bought that arrow after Bob
Yeah,
used it. He sold
yeah.
it. I got pictures of that.
Yeah.
Don Hardy built the arrow.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it was funny because, you know, I don't think Spihar and those guys knew at that time
Either.
And Bob steps out of the car and manifolds are off of, you know, some of the other test cars there, and like Spihar's throwing a blanket over.
Was he
over
really?
Stuff. Oh yeah, it was hilarious. You know, you know, and then it's like, well, you know, this is our newest team member here, and everybody was just like,
Jaws down the floor. What's Glidden doing here?
Yeah.
Spy.
yeah.
Wow.
So
I think the comment was, "You got to be shitting me."
yeah. So.
Oh my
but,
God. I mean, just hearing this stuff, and you guys, when you watch this video, you're going to probably, I mean, I got chills on my arms just hearing this history, because we've seen it in books and magazines, but we've never heard it right from the horse's mouth, right from the whole story.
He had to spend a week at Bob's house there.
Did you really?
And that was intense.
I bet it was.
Yeah.
Is that those guys live on caffeine and nicotine?
Yep, cigarettes
Yeah.
and coffee. I know he drank coffee all day long.
And basketball.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that was.
Well, you can see it from here in the lower left with the pink border.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah.
Okay, that was one of the high points. At that point, he had kicked their ass at Pomona,
Yeah.
and well, it's Wally Parks
Yep.
was ecstatic to see some people other than Chevrolets in
Do
the
something.
field. And the thing that was funny, before we even scorched the earth with them at Pomona, we went to Orange County,
Oh yeah, that was.
and at that time,
Initial test.
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
Oh, that
really
dropped their
fast.
jaws.
I'm gonna say a really fast car, I believe went about 9.0 or
Yeah, 905, 903, something.
860 something. First time the clutch came out. And all of the people, Jenkins and all of them, they just heads down and
Yeah,
walked,
turned around
walked
just
away,
like,
and
just like, oh
they
man.
knew what was coming.
Yeah.
Wow. So hopefully you guys can hear that. He said when they took that car to the first test run, right? Those cars that were fast there were running in the 9.0 range.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And Glidden drops the hammer and blows off an 860 with that Plymouth Arrow.
yeah.
Jenkins, what was he doing?
Hanging his head
He
at
was,
that
he
point.
was pretty despondent.
Nice. That is crazy. And then it just blows me away when you look at the history, and I got all the races that he went through. You know, the Winter Nationals, the Gator Nationals, the Cajun Nationals. I mean, he just swept. He just went through and took
It was
everything.
beautiful.
It was, I bet.
Yeah.
And when we came out the first race in '79, we totally dominated. We won every race that year but two. And I red lighted in the final of those two.
How did you? You know, I've talked to Rusty. I'm buddies with Rusty. You know, and he kind of reminds me of my own dad. My dad did not play. My dad told you to do something one time, and that's all you got.
Did it.
And that's how I learned.
Yeah, the same here.
And that's the older generation.
Well, you can see in that deal there too that the kids were, I wouldn't say they were workers, but like Scott said, they didn't mince any words, and if Dad wanted a wrench, why
You got the wrench.
Good for Bob.
Yeah, yeah.
And for you. Both of you. Yeah.
Yeah, Billy and Rusty, you know, I mean, it's just, I guess you could call it boot camp almost.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah, that's how he ran it.
But that's
how he won.
Yeah,
His determination and drive.
That was, you know, their way of doing things.
Yep.
You know, and honestly, you know, when you're in a professional side of it, you have to work with 110% effort, you know, to do it. You know, I mean, you know, between his stuff, what went on with the Wayne County program,
Oh, yeah.
you know, everything. You know, you just, if you want to be successful, you got to give it
you
more
gotta
than your
live
all.
it. You gotta live it.
Yeah,
You don't win, you don't eat.
yeah, well,
It's about that way.
yeah. And it's even worse nowadays with all the major corporate sponsorships and stuff. You know, I mean, back then it was still kind of fun, but it was just getting into the edge of the major corporate sponsorship, you know, part of it. You know, now you gotta be careful as far as how you present yourself,
Sure.
what you say, where you say it. You know, just, I mean, it's
PC.
just, yeah, it's, and it takes a lot of the fun out of it. You know, I mean, there is still fun stuff, but again, it's, you know, some of the corporate side of it has spoiled it also.
That's what Warren was telling me. It just became too expensive to even race. You know, to make it feasible for him.
Sure. Well, and then on top of it, you have NHRA, you know, putting their finger into it,
Mm-hmm.
you know, deciding, you know, what you can and can't do, you know, what RPM you can run the cars
Sure.
to.
Well, even
So,
more than that, it's a matter, they dictated where your concession stand was gonna be, and
Yeah. Yeah, if you
Really?
wanted to even sell T-shirts,
Yeah.
you couldn't sell them yourself. You have to sell them through
Just like they are now.
through their
Store.
their you know, track store,
Yep.
you know, part of it, and they want their, you know, their cut, you know, which is what it boils down to, you know.
Wow.
So, and that's why, you know, a lot of the littler, you know, teams, you know, like the Krasinskis and stuff,
Yeah.
you know, they're fighting to try to still stay out there, you know, from it. It just, it's tough.
I talked to Alan at the, you know, Frank Iaconio invited me to go to the track. So I went there with Clobber Brothers. And right across from him was Alan Krasinski. So he's going to do a live chat with me. He's the only guy running a Hemi.
Yeah, Frank is a good guy.
Oh, yeah.
Too, there, you know, just.
You better be watching this, Frank.
Yeah.
He's a character.
that's
Yeah.
So
very,
nice. You
uh,
know, with
for sure, why, Iaconio is a good guy.
Yeah. I feel for him losing his son. You
Yeah.
know, out of the deal, because, you know, it would be like Dad losing me,
Mhm.
you know, out of it. It just, you know, I have a hard time seeing how he's still doing it when you have that kind of a devastating, you know, situation.
I mean, I've talked to him many times. I've never said anything about it. I don't know how to approach it yet. You know,
Yeah.
so I've just let it be. You know,
Yeah. Just.
I would like to talk to him about it and see how he feels. Sometimes it does help. But yeah, he's a worker too. You know.
Yeah, there's some good stories with Frank too. With that, then we may save that for.
Yeah, save that for another time. That'll be part two. But you guys, my family's here. The Mrs. DragBoss and the Bossettes, they're talking with Suzy, kind of go over some stuff. We'll kind of wrap this up. In your opinion, Dave, what kind of guy was Bob? Was he hard to get along with? Was he a quiet person? You know, when he's working, he didn't want to talk to anybody. Was he, you know, explosive? What was his personality like? Can you describe him?
Well, I gotta think a little on that one.
I can tell you, you don't want to get crosswise with Etta.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because I found myself on that.
Did you really?
Back.
She didn't play either.
Back in the EXP days.
Yep.
I used to go around and I like to take a lot of close-up photographs of everything, and I was trying to shoot pictures of Bob's stuff from like under Bernstein's trailer and stuff, and she was out there taking the hood for the car, trying to block me. And,
Really?
Oh yeah, came over there and shoot Hagen's ass out.
John Hagen,
yeah. At the time, when we were working with John, on it, and Bob came over later. Don't worry yet. It was just having a bad day. So.
No, I hear you. Wow. Yeah, we'll have to talk about that sometime, because I know, like you said, you had to race to win, and that guy, all he wanted to do, all he saw was winning and racing, and that's his life.
I think Bob's just like anybody else, that it just depends on the day, time of day that you catch him, as far as whether he was in a calm mood or an intense mood, because there were times, like even with the Arrow, if he I think it was it Martin when he bent a valve and to fix it. His way of fixing it, instead of taking the head off, he took an electric drill and just basically put the leak checker to it and kept spinning it and pulling it up until he got the leak check to go. Took it off, put the spring on it, and went back out. So.
Did you guys hear that?
Ran low ET.
Yeah.
Did he really?
Yeah.
A bent valve. He puts a drill on it, puts a chuck on it,
Yeah.
and starts spinning it and pulling it upwards.
Yeah.
To seat it.
And just grind, using the valve to grind itself into the head. So.
I mean, that's amazing. And he ran a low ET.
Yeah, won the race. The one thing I remember is, I believe Pomona, but I don't want to say that for sure. But Bob had won the race, and we went to a place called Orlando's, which is in Pomona, and the kids were with Mike Kessler. He was babysitting, and can remember ordered up a couple bottles of Pouilly Foussé, and I wouldn't say we got drunk, but we were feeling good.
Yep.
Feeling no pain.
Yeah.
And it's just like, when Etta had never done a press kit. And Mom basically showed Etta how to.
Oh, come here, cat. That's funny.
That Mom basically showed Etta how to make the first press kit for Bob for that stuff at the house. So
it's like I was saying to your girls, try something, because there's so much more available for women nowadays. If I had my druthers, I would have loved to have been in advertising, in the art and the stuff, just because and there's more available for women now.
Well, I want them to do something,
Yeah.
not just be a homemaker, but I want them to go to school.
right.
Take advantage of all they can.
Right, and it's the same way, like with the girls. I said to Dave, I had said we ended up, when we first started dating, of course we've been in competition ever since. We went to rival high schools and rival colleges, but we'd go out on dates and go to people's garages and look at parts.
Nice.
And I'm thinking, oh, this is exciting, because I was a music and art minor, and anyways, After a bit though, I started thinking, you know what? He thinks enough of me to ask me to come along. By golly, I'm coming. You know, and that's this ever since why we just functioned as a together.
Nice.
And you learn a lot of stuff, and I was saying to your girls, I said, try it, and then you'll find out what you like and don't like.
That's it. Either like it or you don't. It's simple.
Yeah.
Not
But
forced
you
to do
can't
it.
decide until you've tried it. And it may sound half-baked, but by golly, it's, you know.
And if they like racing, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Nice. I'm hoping.
But the thing that, now I'm gonna lose my train of thought, here we go.
That's my deal.
Yeah.
Mid-sentence usually.
Yeah. But it just, we've had a chance, and our guys have had a chance to be all over the country.
Did we hear, I don't know if I heard somebody,
No.
And it just, I was saying to your wife that it, sometimes it was not fun. But they used to play with Mikey Gap, you know.
Oh, yeah,
Wayne's-
Wayne Gap,
uh-huh.
yeah.
And there's Pee Wee Wallace's kids, and just they're all, and the Glidden kids. Yeah.
Sure.
Good
John
Lord, yeah.
Gabinski,
Pardon?
John Gabinski.
Yeah, yeah. So it just that now they're all grown men. You
It's
know,
amazing to see
and it
that.
just, yeah.
Well, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna stop now. We've been talking for about a half hour. I don't want to wear us out. We can revisit this, and I'll get some microphones so it's better. We can maybe add a couple things if we get to do another.
Well,
Episode.
I was going to say we do the other episode, and maybe we'll do it out of his home museum.
Yeah.
Let's do that. We'll do that. We'll stop here. So here's what we're gonna do, guys. We're gonna stop this here because it's 4:45 at night. My kids haven't eaten. We've kept these
We
guys
haven't-
up.
The big kids haven't either.
Right. So and I appreciate you guys taking the time to show my family the hospitality and to show me the hospitality.
No, this is
Suzy and Dave,
the
Bob.
stuff that you do. You know, I mean, it's just us. You know, I mean, you don't see that a lot. You know, nowadays. You know,
Yeah.
Understand.
not old school.
Right.
And that's, you know.
Yeah.
So whenever you can do old school, it's great. You know,
Yeah.
we love it. You know.
Thank you.
And
Just,
with Dave especially, he's not impressed with his own importance.
It's called being humble.
Yeah.
You're a very
But it
humble
just-
man.
Some people make a hobby out of being important.
Yep.
Tell you one other thing I
Okay.
remember is at Indy, would have probably been 1978, and Bob had qualified well. I can't remember what, but he had qualified well. Did everybody take a break? No, we all piled in a couple of station wagons and went over to Glidden's house and played volleyball.
Really?
You were talking about the degree of intensity.
Come here. So these are my girls.
Yeah.
Hey,
Come here, Liz. Where's Mrs. DragBoss?
Hey, I'm gonna sit on me. Ow, that hurts.
This is my wife Andrea.
Hi.
Come on, you're gonna come in and get
That's
in.
fine.
All right.
Ow, that.
So we're
This
wrapping it up.
hurts.
It's just, you know, it's a rare occurrence that happens, hospitality like this.
Dude, he's smushing me.
What we're gonna do is we're gonna set it up better,
I see.
so we got a better time frame. Everyone's got the right time.
Mm-hmm.
I got microphones so we can hear everybody a little bit better.
And we can go up for ice cream up the street.
There it is.
And
And we could do the B1. You can talk about that sometime.
We can.
That'll be
There-
awesome.
There's a lot of stuff. I mean, we can talk about as early days of the zone stuff.
Yeah, I would love to do
stuff,
that.
It just
Sure.
yeah, I think you'd enjoy the museum. A
Okay.
typical teacher's paradise. I have all my bulletin boards and everything.
All right. Well, we'll do it.
Well, we
Are you guys in?
Sure.
Okay. All right. That's what we'll do.
Besides, we got Bomber the cat over at our house, named after the B-1
B1 bomber. Yeah.
Yeah.
like that. I wondered if that was what it was.
Yeah.
B1 was the B1 bomber.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
let's
Bombing-
wrap.
And this is
bombing
what
the
happens when you
competition.
have too much to drink and are thinking what you're going to call your stuff.
Yeah.
Heavy hitter.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, so here's what we're gonna do, guys. We're gonna sign off. I appreciate everybody being here and watching DragBoss Garage and spending time with the Koffels. Thank you, Dave, for taking time out of your busy schedule and give us the real story of why Glidden went to Chrysler in 1979. DragBoss Garage, where you're always seeing and learning something new. Thumbs up, guys. There it is.